Hey guys, we are Comic Novelty Club. My name is Sarah.
My name's Tony.
And this is our brand new YouTube project that we have going on.
And yeah, we're going to be giving you guys some book reviews later down the line, some comic book tutorials. Some of these videos will have spoilers. We'll let you know which ones. This one, no spoilers. We're going to be reviewing Relish by Knisley. And let's get into it. Start us off with what this book's about, or maybe...
Where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start... I found this book, I purchased this book because I had seen it on a lot of lists of, you know, people's favorite graphic novels, and so I figured, and almost every bookstore or like comic shop we went into in their alternative section, almost all of them had this book. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, and I kind of put it off, and finally I was like, you know what, I need to see what this is all about. So I said, you know what, let's get it, and I got it, and I read it, and I liked it, and I convinced Tony to read it. And we weren't super excited about it from off the bat. The cover looks great.
Yeah, the cover looks great.
The cover looks great. I like the idea of the food and, you know, like talking about my life in the kitchen sounds cool.
Okay.
I wasn't too crazy about the art. That's all I'm going to say about it. I wasn't crazy about the art, and it grew on me, but we're going to get into that later. The story, I'm going to let you go with that one.
Okay. So Relish by Knisley. When we first got the book, we didn't know how to say her name. It's Knisley. Is about basically her growing up with foodie parents. A mother who's a professional chef and caterer, and a dad who is a food critic and who just like a guy loving food. This follows her life basically in chronological order, with her talking about different foods that remind her of different parts of her life, and also dealing with how her entire family kind of dealt with the divorce and all these life changes throughout, and yeah, that's basically what the book's about. So there's some recipes in there also that she wraps up with every chapter. It just basically follows her life. Yeah. You want to open up the book now?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's open up the book. So, cover, super awesome. Really eye-catching, pleasing, soft colors. And then this is why we weren't too excited about it off the bat, because the colors are really kind of dark and
really saturated.
Yeah, and there's not much of a color scheme, really.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot of depth in her drawings.
Although her drawings are super clean.
Yeah.
Easy to read.
Super clean and really easy to read. So I think that, you know, starting off, I wasn't crazy about it, but then as I read it, it became just very secondary. I loved how easy it was to read, and that, you know, she's a very clear illustrator, and so it was pretty easy to read. There are a lot of really funny moments, really, like, you can relate a lot to these different moments in her life, which was something that I really liked. And she travels a lot, and so you see you know, food in different places, and
they are in Mexico.
Yeah, and then here's Japan. She also, something me and Tony have talked about is, like, we love this, like, kind of free layout, this like really like, just,
I found it to be really inspiring. One thing I really liked about it was that even though off the bat, when you look at a page like this, it looks chaotic, your eye doesn't really know where to start, but if you just start left to right, top to bottom, it's actually really, your eye flows through really easily.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice break from the more structured pages, you know. It kind of, you know, gives you a little bit of a different way of reading it. Some of her recipes are awesome. We haven't tried any yet, but we're super excited to.
Yes.
They're very fun and silly.
Let me find one of her recipes real quick. Ooh, huevos rancheros. I like this one. Growing up in a Mexican household, this was really cool to me. Just because my family never taught me how to cook any Mexican food. So, yeah, this looks awesome. So, basically, yeah, she gives you all the ingredients. She runs you through it. She'll kind of... They're all illustrated really, you know, a lot really differently, each one to the other. But the illustrations are always really appropriate to the meal, which I like.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things besides food in there that make you think and make you relate to her parents' divorce, and you know, me and Tony both could relate to that, and many people I'm sure have parents that are divorced, and the kind of struggle that
half the country could relate to this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big market.
It's nice to see another person's perspective and kind of the two separate parents and kind of forming a relationship with each one individually as you grow up.
The overall theme is, yeah, it's growing up with, yeah, your parents apart, and yeah, that's a good observation, building relationships with each of them. It's hard to do, and it's kind of hard to figure out your family dynamic after that.
Also, there's like, you know, coming of age moments in here when they're in Mexico, and just very relatable for a guy and a girl, you know, experience. She's there with her mother and her mother's friend and her mother's friend's son, and they both go through these experiences in Mexico that kind of change them, and they go home kind of a little bit more grown up and changed, and it's something that everybody goes through that, and
it's a moment you don't really expect when it happens, but you totally recognize that you're not the same anymore.
And I think
it's mostly just weird and sad.
And it's funny because, like, with food, you know, you eat something that you haven't eaten in a long time, and it takes you right back to a specific moment and people that you were with and what the situation was. And so it's very, it works really well, you know, with her telling these stories and then incorporating food into it and the connection that those two things have, and how it's almost like you can't tell the story of traveling and experiencing life without talking about the food, and vice versa. And so, you know, and I think a lot of other artists do that anyways. They do, you know, what they talk about when they travel or go someplace, or they're experiencing something kind of crazy, and, you know, if they're at a restaurant or whatever, they're kind of documenting what they're eating, what's happening, you know, in that moment, the details of it.
I feel like if you like Anthony Bourdain, you might like this book a lot. So
it's kind of like a kid version of Anthony Bourdain, kind of.
It's Anthony Bourdain without the background of drugs. And the grittiness.
Minus the grit, I'd say.
Minus the grit. Don't read this on an empty stomach.
Because you'll want to eat everything.
Unless you have access to really amazing foods in your kitchen. We don't. So when I was reading through it, every single meal just sounded amazing. I'm like, oh my goodness, why don't I have foie gras in the kitchen all the time for moments like this?
And he's reading it at 2 a.m. So wanting foie gras.
Is that how you say it?
Foie gras. Right?
I don't know. And I've never eaten it, so I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to say it right.
Well, anyways, wanting that at 2 a.m. in the Inland Empire of California. You don't... No options. Your choices are zero.
I didn't find myself having really any options to experience the food in this book until she gets to the whole junk food section. And I found myself driving to McDonald's at like 3 a.m. to get a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So that's the other good thing about this book. It's not too pretentious about food.
That's what I was going to say. I came into this thinking that she might be kind of pretentious. Growing up with parents that are very, I don't know, into food and everything, I thought maybe she might be a little pretentious with it, but she's so not. She's so like down to earth about it and appreciates all kinds of good food and stuff. I think that it was a nice element to the book.
Yeah, this is a really fun read. How it deserves, I think, to be in everyone's comic book collection.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. We've read some of her other books, or at least I have.
I'm working on them.
He hasn't yet, but and I love those ones as well. So this is definitely a good one to start with. I totally recommend you guys go read this and let us know what you think. Let us know, if you had any other opinions or experiences with it.
Okay. Okay, well that wraps it up for this first video. This is our first attempt at YouTube.
We hope it went well.
We're gonna make improvements. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Okay.